Success rarely breaks people. Their habits do. You do not lose in one dramatic moment. You lose in quiet daily decisions. In the extra 10 minutes you waste. In the promise you make and ignore. In the excuse you repeat until it sounds reasonable. Winners hear the same excuses. They just stop reading them. That is the part nobody claps for. It is not glamorous, but it changes everything. If you want different results, stop asking what to add first. Ask what needs to be removed before it keeps draining your focus, your energy, and your future. Success is built by ambition, yes, but also by cutting off the patterns that quietly sabotage your progress. Number 5 is waiting until you feel ready. Most people treat readiness like a green light that should appear before action, before risk, and before public effort. It never works that way. Readiness usually arrives after movement, not before it. The gym feels possible after your first hard week, not while you are still debating shoes and schedules. Speaking in public feels natural after awkward repetitions, not while you are polishing confidence inside your imagination. Starting a business feels real after the first uncomfortable offer, not after another month of watching motivational clips. But delay feels intelligent, and that is why so many ambitious people stay stuck for years. They call it research, preparation, timing, or strategy, while fear quietly hides behind respectable language. What they are really protecting is their ego from the discomfort of looking inexperienced. That protection becomes a prison, because the longer you wait, the heavier the first step begins to feel. Then one email feels loaded, one application feels dangerous, and one conversation feels like a final exam. Winners avoid that pressure by moving early, while the stakes are still small enough for mistakes to teach them. A young creator posts rough videos for months, learns fast, and slowly becomes impossible to ignore. Another creator studies cameras, scripts, and algorithms, but never uploads because the first attempt might look embarrassing. 6 months later, one person has feedback, skill, and momentum. The other has a folder full of intentions. That is the difference between action and delay. One builds evidence, and the other builds anxiety. So stop asking whether you feel ready and start asking what the smallest real move is today. Send the proposal, publish the rough draft, make the call, and let motion create the confidence you keep waiting for. Start ugly if you must, because ugly work can be improved. Imaginary perfection cannot. Number 4 is protecting your comfort, like it is your identity. Comfort is useful for recovery, but dangerous when it becomes the voice that makes every major decision. Then every choice gets filtered through one question: what feels easiest right now? That question will quietly destroy your future, because meaningful growth rarely arrives wrapped in convenience. The better body asks you to train when you would rather stay soft and entertained. The better career asks you to learn skills that temporarily make you feel slow, uncertain, and exposed. The better relationship asks you to communicate honestly instead of hiding behind pride, silence, and emotional laziness. The bigger life asks more from you than your current self finds pleasant. People say they want growth, but many only want growth if it feels familiar, flattering, and comfortable. It will not. Growth usually feels like friction before it feels like freedom. That is why average people misread discomfort as danger and walk away right before expansion begins. Winners do something different. They stop treating discomfort like a warning sign and start treating it like stretching. Think about 2 employees offered the same leadership project at work. One declines because the pressure, visibility, and criticism feel overwhelming, so she protects her comfort and stays invisible. The other accepts, struggles publicly, improves quickly, and becomes the obvious person for future responsibility. Same opportunity, same starting point, but a completely different relationship with discomfort. Your comfort zone will always have polite reasons, and many of them will sound responsible. Sometimes they are real, but often they are elegant excuses wearing professional clothes. So use comfort for recovery, not for direction. If it scares you because it demands growth, walk toward it. Number 3 is talking about your goals more than you work on them. Talking feels productive because language creates the illusion that progress is already happening. You explain the plan, announce the comeback, Describe the vision and tell everybody what is coming next. For a moment, your ego feels rewarded because attention can imitate achievement. But words become dangerous when they start replacing the slow, lonely work that actually changes your life. You do not become fit by discussing routines, supplements, and ideal training philosophies with your friends. You become fit by training when nobody is impressed, nobody is filming, and nobody is applauding. You do not become skilled by posting ambitions online and collecting encouragement in the comments. You become skilled by repeating boring reps until your private standards become stronger than your public image. That is why silent workers so often shock loud dreamers. The silent worker spends energy building leverage, while the loud dreamer spends energy broadcasting identity. One creates results that compound, the other creates an image of future results. Look at two friends who both say they want to write a book. One talks for months about the title, the audience, the impact, and the interviews that will come later. The other quietly writes 500 words every morning before work, even when the pages feel weak. After 6 months, one has conversations and confidence theater, the other has a manuscript. That difference matters because the world eventually stops rewarding intention and starts responding only to evidence. Speak your goals if you want, but make sure your private effort stays heavier than your public declaration. When talking becomes emotional relief, reduce the talking. When the work feels repetitive, keep going anyway. Noise attracts attention for a day, but execution earns respect that can survive years. Number 2 is treating discipline like punishment. This one makes success feel heavier than it really is. A lot of people talk about discipline like it is a miserable sentence reserved for serious, joyless human beings. So they resist it, negotiate with it, and run from it the moment it asks for consistency. But discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect with a schedule attached to it. It is the decision to stop letting your lowest impulse manage your highest goals. When you brush your teeth, you do not call that oppression, you call it basic maintenance. When you pay bills on time or lock your door at night, you do not call that suffering. You call it responsibility, and your goals deserve the same ordinary level of seriousness. The workout is not a dramatic act of pain. It is Tuesday, and this is what Tuesday requires. The savings transfer is not cruel sacrifice. It is a system protecting your future from your moods. The focused work block is not deprivation, it is how serious people keep promises to themselves. Winners understand that automatic discipline actually creates more freedom, not less. They do not waste half the morning debating whether to do the important thing. They remove the debate, protect their energy, and let structure carry them through ordinary resistance. A student who studies at the same hour each night performs better without needing heroic bursts of motivation. An entrepreneur who reviews numbers every Monday catches problems early instead of panicking when the damage is larger. A parent who trains before sunrise does not love alarms. That person loves the standard being built. So stop describing discipline like a prison because that language makes consistency feel personal and painful. Describe it correctly. It is structure, leverage, and proof that your future matters enough to organize today around it. Number 1 is building your life around other people's approval. This habit silently kills more potential than failure ever will. Failure hurts in moments, but approval addiction reshapes your entire life one compromise at a time. It changes how you speak, what you attempt, what you hide, and when you decide to quit. You stop asking what is right for your mission and start asking what will be accepted by the room. That is a terrible trade, because the crowd usually rewards familiarity long before it rewards courage. People feel comfortable when you stay recognizable to them, even if that version of you is smaller. The moment you grow, some call it arrogance. The moment you set boundaries, some call it selfishness. The moment you raise your standards, some suddenly act like you changed for the worse. You did change, and that is exactly the point of growth. If you need applause before you move, criticism will control your entire future. And criticism is guaranteed whenever you try something meaningful, visible, or different. Someone will say you are unrealistic too late, too ambitious, too quiet, too bold, or not qualified enough. They said similar things to countless people who later built lives worth respecting. What separated those people was not universal support, it was internal permission. They decided their assignment mattered more than the temporary noise surrounding it. Think about the person who stays in the wrong career because the title sounds impressive to family. From the outside, it looks stable and admirable. From the inside, it feels like slow self-betrayal. Now think about the person who chooses the less glamorous path that actually fits the life they want. At first it looks risky, confusing, and unpopular. Later it becomes a life that makes sense. This does not mean you reject wisdom, it means you stop outsourcing your identity. Listen to feedback, but keep your hands on the steering wheel. Take advice, but do not hand strangers the authorship of your future. Here is the truth: some people will be disappointed when you become serious about your own growth. Let them be disappointed, because living for applause will eventually make you disappointed in yourself. So, if you want to succeed, stop hunting for a magical secret and start removing what keeps poisoning your momentum. Stop waiting to feel ready, because motion creates clarity faster than overthinking ever will. Stop worshiping comfort, because the life you want will keep demanding a stronger version of you. Stop talking more than you build, because your future listens to actions, not announcements. Stop treating discipline like punishment, because consistency becomes lighter the moment you stop dramatizing responsibility. And stop letting approval decide your direction, because borrowed standards will never build an authentic life. Success is rarely blocked by lack of potential. It is usually blocked by patterns you keep defending. Break those patterns, and your life starts opening in places that once felt permanently locked. Not overnight and not magically, but steadily, clearly, and with momentum that finally feels earned. You do not need a brand new personality to win. You need cleaner standards and stronger daily decisions. You need fewer excuses dressed up as logic and more courage to cut off what weakens you. Do that long enough and people will eventually call you lucky. You will know the truth. You simply stop doing what destroys your future and finally committed to what builds it.